I'll never forget August. I think it was August 3rd at the Izod Center, which used to be the Continental Airlines Arena. I was in attendance for SummerSlam that year to watch Bret Hart defeat Undertaker for the World Heavyweight title, and that is my favorite moment because I got to be there in attendance, and I'll never forget that day. I bought the Hitman shirt because they had the Hart Foundation. No, I didn't buy the sunglasses, but I had the Hitman shirt which they made for the Hart Foundation, and there was, once he won the title, there was a few rows behind me, there was a group of Canada fans for Bret Hart, and they had the flag. And as soon as he won the title, I turned back. We both made eye contact, and we just were like, yeah!
That's
and
awesome.
Everyone else was silent because, they had did the Canada versus USA rivalry there. But that was such a great moment. And I'd say about 8 or 9 years later, I went to an autograph signing to meet Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. And I walk up to Bret, and he sees the shirt, and he just smiles because he knows it's from, way back.
Yeah.
And it's just, and I wish at the time, I had brought a photo. My father took a photo of me doing the Bret Hart pose in the parking lot. And I wish I could have brought that and been like, you know what? I had this shirt back then and I'm still wearing it now. And I even talked to him about that 97 run and how great I thought it was. And it's just an awesome experience, man. And I know you have an experience meeting him as well.
Yeah. Actually, this past summer in New Jersey, Rahway, they had an event, and he was there for a signing. And you're there, and you know how guys, they charge money for autographs, which is understandable. But the line for Bret Hart was ridiculously long. It was wrapped around where the ring was. People were lined up behind that. It was going out towards the entranceway.
Did he even get to everyone?
I think he did, because I guess they had a cutoff. If this is the end of the line, if you want it, you're done. So everybody who was on that part got it. So I was like, should I do it? Nah, I don't feel like waiting that long on a line. I hate waiting on lines. So I decided, you know what? I'll bag it. Maybe another time I'll meet him. So I was outside, actually, during the intermission, because they had a couple matches, then they did the intermission. And Bret Hart was out there in the parking lot getting into his car. I guess he had his agent or assistant, whoever was going to drive him. So I was with a couple of guys, and I went up to him, do you mind if I take a picture with you? And he's like, oh, yeah, sure. Nicest guy, very humble. And this is Bret Hart, one of the biggest superstars in wrestling. He could have been a total dick and be like, no, get out of my way, guy, I'm leaving. But he took a picture with me, and not just one picture, two, because the first one didn't come out. And I said, oh, do you mind if I take? He's like, no, it's okay. And we took 2 pictures, and I actually posted on my Instagram. And it was probably one of the best moments of my wrestling, dealing with wrestlers and wrestling of all time.
That's a funny thing that you mentioned that about taking the 2 pictures, because at that event that I told you that I went to the signing, I had bought 2 tickets, one for me and one for my father. And it was to take pictures with the Hart Foundation together. And take one picture, but I still have the other ticket. And what happens is you're allowed to have 2 people in one photo for 1 ticket.
Okay.
So now we could take another one. So we go back to take another one with them, and my dad goes up to him to take the picture, and Bret goes, what happened? The first one didn't come out? In his Canadian accent. And my dad still to this day loves that story, and we got to take 2 pictures. I have them on my Facebook if you ever check them out. And I posted it again.
You should post it on our page as well.
Yeah, well, you know what? Let's post both of those pictures on our page. Maybe make a little collage.
Ooh, fancy.
But yeah, that's such a great experience with Bret. I still remember also a live show that I went to before SummerSlam, and it was Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin versus Bret Hart and Psycho Sid.
Oh, wow.
As the main event, and that was also a cool event that I got to go to and see. But let's get into some of what the fans had to say. We'll do that when we come back. You're listening to Ringside Rumble Radio here on UCR Network, powered by Spreaker.com and free on iTunes. See you in a few.
Unified Championship Radio. Yes. It is Ringside Rumble Radio here on the UCR Network, exclusively on Spreaker.com, and now also on the iTunes. We're on iTunes, everyone.
Yes,
make
we
sure
are.
to check us out at Ringside Rumble Radio, and make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at UCR Network, and also on Facebook, facebook.com/UCR Network.
You got it, man. You definitely hit that one.
Oh, well, thank you. I've been practicing. I remember last week I had it almost
Yes, the
100%.
Facebook you messed up
I
on.
messed it up, and I told you this week I was going to redeem myself, and I did. But before we went to break, my good friend over here, Anthony the Ant-Man Rivera, was talking about how fans of the UCR Network and Ringside Rumble Radio were chiming in, giving their input about Bret Hart and their favorite matches and what they thought about the whole situation. So,
Yeah,
my friend,
man.
take it away.
Yeah, on Facebook, Earl E. Cole says, I remember Madison Square Garden when Bret took on his brother Owen at WrestleMania, and what a classic match. Or the Kiss My Foot match
Yes.
with Jerry the King Lawler, and I think that was at King of the Ring.
Yes, there was a King in the Ring.
The Bret Hart versus Owen match was an amazing match. It started off WrestleMania 10, and Bret Hart fought 2 matches in one night.
I remember that, yes.
I still remember him beating Yokozuna for the title and Owen waiting at the end. They were like, come on in. I was like, go in, celebrate with them. And he wouldn't. He turned heel. But yeah, that was a good match. The Kiss My Foot match, you remember that one?
Yes.
His feud with Jerry Lawler, that was another good feud.
And that also brought in the character who was later to become Kane, Isaac Yankem.
Oh, right. I remember that.
Jerry the King was trying to get rid of the disgusting taste out of his mouth, so he decided, I'll find this dentist guy. And
Isaac Yankem,
Yep.
DDS.
yes, sir.
Anthony Lovell of Facebook, his favorite match was Bret versus Shawn Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12.
Another good match.
That was a great. That was the first time we got a taste of the Iron Man match, where it went down to the wire that we even had to go into overtime, and I was a little upset about that. I was like, Bret, get out of the ring, so they can change the end result, and then he ended up winning anyway, Shawn Michaels. So that was another interesting. That was another really good Bret, man. He had a lot of good WrestleMania matches. He might be a Mr. WrestleMania as well.
Yeah, I would say so. Any other ones?
Charles Bennett was, he said Owen Hart versus Bret at WrestleMania 10 was as well. And Mr. Perfect at SummerSlam 91 at Madison Square Garden. Have you seen that one?
That's going back, but I vaguely remember.
For the
that.
Intercontinental title.
Yes.
The first time Bret won a singles title.
Mm-hmm.
I remember him winning that title and then going into the stands because his mom and dad were in there giving them a hug.
Now it's coming back. I remember that.
That was a good one. Stefan Blunt said his favorite feud was him and Shawn Michaels. I got another Shawn Michaels.
Big feud.
That was probably the feud of the 90s.
Oh, yeah, because you had one guy who was arrogant and didn't care about anybody and kind of just was a degenerate, as you could say, because I later formed DX. And then you had Bret Hart, who was like the old school
Family Guy
wrestler who was humble and respected everybody. And it was just a great classic feud.
Yeah, now before WrestleMania 10 and the big ladder match that Shawn and Razor I guess, perfected. It was Bret and Shawn that did the first ladder match that I saw.
Yeah.
And I think that was for the Intercontinental Championship when Bret was champion at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And Shawn Michaels had just become the Heartbreak Kid. You'll like what Kevin Welsh had to say. His favorite match was Bret and Stone Cold at WrestleMania 13.
Yeah, we talked about that last segment. I would have to agree on that. Pretty much the start of the Attitude Era.
Yeah, David Camisa says his 3 favorite matches were Bret Hart versus Owen at WrestleMania 10, Bret versus Shawn the Iron Man match, and this was a very underrated match, but Bret Hart versus the 1-2-3 Kid on Monday Night Raw. I don't know if you ever got a chance to see that fight, but that was a really good kind of a technical match with a kind of a high flyer at the time. X-Pac was really one of the innovators of doing the high-flying stuff, so that was a good match. I kind of like what Zay had to say. That rhymes.
Say Zay.
His favorite match was mine. Undertaker vs. Hitman, which HBK is a special referee at SummerSlam. And it set up the first Hell in a Cell match. And Kane. Kane comes in a lot with Bret Hart.
Yeah.
And we got Kiss My Foot. Jeff Warner says his favorite match was Bret Hart versus Jerry the King Lawler, the Kiss My Foot match. Jeff Warner actually sent me a article that he had with meeting Bret for the first time on his birthday, and I got that a picture here. Maybe I'll post that later on
definitely
on our Facebook page. But Jordan Anthony Watkins says his favorite was definitely the Montreal. I don't know if it was his favorite, but one of the moments he remembers is definitely the Montreal Screwjob.
Well, I think everybody, like I said, if you're a real wrestling fan, you know what the Screwjob is. If you're somebody who just started watching, you're just like, yeah, John Cena. And you have no idea what you've missed in the last 30-plus years.
Yeah, Minister Lori Brooks on Facebook has said her favorite moment is, I met him many times as a child and adult. He is such a great guy, an entertainer, person, a human. I seen him last year here in Toronto, brought him a picture of when she was a kid and had her sign it for her when she was 15. Now 40, looked very happy and got a new picture. Plus, he met my twin daughters and they made her laugh.
Wow, that's awesome.
So meeting, friends there. Eric Points says his favorite match was SummerSlam 1990, a 2 out of 3 falls match between the Hart Foundation and Demolition for the tag team titles. That was one of the best tag team matches I've ever seen. And I was actually looking at that today on the WWE Network, and they had the Legion of Doom making their first pay-per-view appearance on there. A lot of recurring themes of people making their introductions during Bret Hart's run here. David G. Scuderi says he loved when Bret Hart fought Chris Benoit, and they had some really good matches in WCW. One of them was actually the Owen Hart tribute match on Monday Nitro. Did you get to see? Have you ever seen that one?
No, I have to go back to that. But he was only the U.S. champion, I believe, for WCW, correct?
Bret?
Yeah.
Bret won the world. Bret actually beat Chris Benoit for the heavyweight title.
He did, okay.
At WCW Mayhem in '99, I think it was. Yes.
And then that's
the tournament.
Then after that, that's when he had the Goldberg match. And
at Starrcade. Yep. Javier Arango, also his favorite match is Mr. Perfect versus Bret the Hitman Hart. Fernando Palma says the steel cage match between him and Owen, when Owen got his leg stuck in the cage, stuck out the most in his, and that's what got him hooked into wrestling. So that was another big match during their feud after WrestleMania. I really enjoyed that match, watching that one. That's another match that I can watch over and over again. A lot of Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels matches in here. Bret Hart versus Stone Cold. Here we go. Julio Menendez says Bret the Hitman Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin was most memorable. Steve Austin at the top of his prime. Fan favorite submission match. We all knew Steve Austin didn't have much submission skill, but it was great to see the excellence of execution go to work. You can't mess with the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be.
It's great. It's great.
You got a lot of good matches. And one last one. Joseph Robert Ramirez says his favorite was a WWE Championship match between Bret Hart and The Patriot when Bret Hart had turned heel in